3 Disturbing True Summer Camp Horror Stories by Mr.Nightmare. Hey, what's good? How your day going? How's your morning, your evening, your night? How your October going? But either way it go though, I ain't gonna talk your ears off, man. I'm a little excited. This one being summer camp. I'm blowing on that Freddy pack. Yeah, I know this one about to be good and scary, dog. But either way it go though, you wanna check out the original video. Link will be in the description below. But let's go.
In 2010, I went to a summer camp called Camp Ernst that my parents signed me up for. Thankfully, it was with my best friend Keith, so I wouldn't be going there not knowing anyone. The camp was for 2 weeks, and it was the typical setting you'd expect to see in those old summer camp horror movies like Sleepaway Camp. There were 2 big cabins where the girls and boys slept respectively. There was also a big lodge-type building with an activity center, dining hall, and other amenities, and then various other smaller buildings scattered throughout the camp. Keith and I stayed up later than all the other kids because we wanted to play on our Nintendo DS's together. It was reaching the deep hours of the night, past 2 a.m. We were still playing DS together. That's when the door to the cabin opened. Panicking, we both threw our DS's under the pillows and pretended to be asleep. Footsteps moved around the room, from Keith's bed over to my bed. Then the footsteps stopped at my bed, and for a short moment, I felt the ever-so-soft feeling of someone breathing down my neck. Then the footsteps moved away from my bed and back to the door, before the door shut. I looked over to Keith and said, "That was scary. Especially since whoever that was breathing down my neck." We went back to playing on our DS's. That's when I got a text message on my phone, which read, "Why are you two still up?" Those of us who had cell phones were given a list of phone numbers of the camp counselors who we should call if something were to happen. But that number didn't belong to any of the counselors. Not that I knew of, at least. I texted back saying, "Who is this?" They never responded, though. I told Keith, who didn't have a cell phone, and he was just as freaked out as I was. Obviously, it had to be a counselor. Or so we thought. So we went back to playing on our DS's with the screen brightness all the way down. We both heard the back door to the cabin open. We looked at each other and once again threw our DS's under the pillows. There were no more footsteps, though. Suddenly my phone vibrated. It was another text message from the same number. It said, "It's Counselor Tony. Come outside to the back of the cabin. I have something to say to you."
Hell no.
I told Keith, and he said it sounded way too suspicious. Then we both wondered if whoever this Tony person was the one who just opened the back door. I got off the bed and took a few steps to the center of the room, where I could get a view down the hall to the back door. There was no one in sight, so I walked down the hall a little bit. Keith didn't approve. When I got closer to the back screen door of the cabin, I realized there was a little section of wall that caved in, and in that little opening, there was someone hiding. I got a little closer and realized it was not a camp counselor, but some really old, creepy-looking man who was about the same height as me. I ran back to my bed screaming help, waking everybody up. It was at that moment that I heard the back door slam shut. A camp counselor came rushing inside through the front door, and I told everybody what just happened. The counselors went around the whole campsite, searching the perimeter for anyone matching the description I gave. It was a big place surrounded by forest, though. It would be impossible to find someone. What still doesn't make sense to me is how that man got my phone number.
I was just about to ask the same damn thing, but how did he get the number though, man? So, I mean, because he said this was 2010. Normally they will keep records of people-ish. That's usually where I would get them from. I would go there before I kill everybody on the campground, but I don't know, dog.
What still doesn't make sense to me is how that man got my phone number. My best guess would be he somehow found a list of phone numbers that the counselors had made, but how did he know who I was? I still dream about this experience every now and then.
It's because the room number. I'm gonna let the ass play so you get his revenue. Boom. So whenever like the male counselor and the female counselor meet outside and get the fucking, then that's when I get y'all information. Then I come over there, whack y'all shit up. But yeah, I've heard creepier though.
Now and then.
I've created creepier situations before as well. You might want to look me up, dog. Jason, with a big J, bitch.
I was just 13. It was my first and last year at a teenager summer camp, which was basically a traditional summer camp for teens aged 13 to 16. The place had some history, though. An old woman who worked on the grounds died from reasons not disclosed to the public. The old woman was one of the former cafeteria workers, Miss Graham. Well, I'll keep this short. It was one of those nights that my brain just hated me and was basically telling me, "You're not getting any sleep tonight." I was rolling from side to side in an uncomfortable cot as everyone else was fast asleep. The full moon made for a bright night. Beams of light literally poured into the room from every window. I was so far from tired that I just felt defeated. I sat up and rubbed my eyes, and when I opened them again, I noticed the light from the window straight across from me was blocked by something. I gasped when I saw what was blocking the light. It was a person's head. It looked like an older woman with a red cap on. What the hell is this lady doing? I thought to myself. It didn't really hit me hard until I realized the woman was looking right at me. Like her eyes were locked onto mine. When I saw this, I flipped on my side and pretended to be asleep. Or maybe I just wanted to hide under the covers like a baby. I gave it a minute before I dared look back at the window. She was gone. I breathed a sigh of relief. The room seemed darker now, though. Something wasn't right. I looked up to the window right above my cot, and 3 feet away from me, at most, there was the same older woman in a red cap, looking straight down at me. Once again, I covered myself with the blankets and cowered in fear. I don't know how long I stayed like that before I actually fell asleep, because the next thing I remember is going to one of the adults running the camp and telling them about the woman with the red cap. He looked at the 2 women who were also in his office, and they looked back at him with disturbed faces. One of the women said, "That's so creepy, that sounds exactly like Miss Graham." As she said that, my heart skipped a beat. To this day, I don't know if what I saw...
Okay. Yeah, I highly doubt that it's going to be Miss Grimm. What did he say the age range was? Age range was 13 to 16. So, yeah, more than likely, it's probably some kid playing around trying to run a prank or something. Because the ish would be funny, dog. We're on campgrounds. And we know this horrific story. Yeah, let's go ahead and scare somebody. Or it could really be Miss Grimm.
Heart skipped a beat. To this day, I don't know if what I saw at that window was a real person, if it was in my head, or if by some off chance, maybe it was Miss Graham out there.
When is the last time?
Some off chance, maybe it was Miss Graham out there. I'll never forget the time I went to a sleepaway camp in Pennsylvania. I was a little kid at the time, and I was very shy. Meeting all the other kids at the orientation on the first day was a scary experience for me. I'd rather be home playing Super Nintendo or something. Some of the other kids made friends pretty quickly. I thought I wasn't going to make any friends, but luckily some really outgoing kids started talking to me early on. I can't for the life of me remember his name though, so I'll call him Mike. Mike was a short blonde kid who...
Myers? When I catch dog, I'm beating the shit out of him. I hate when people approach me with that question. Who will win between you and Mike? Man, I will beat the hell out of Mike. Look, he's still a human. I'm dead, dog. Man, stop playing. I would beat the
Can't for
brakes
the life
off
of me
Doggy Bomb.
remember his name though, so I'll call him Mike. Mike was a short blonde kid who always wore a Yankees hat. I thought he was the coolest kid at the time, but looking back now, I realize he's probably one of those kids who turned into a punk troublemaker in high school. During the tour of the campgrounds the first day, Mike and I picked up on a lone bunk building that looked like it had been abandoned and unused for years. We asked one of the counselors what happened, He said he had no idea it was his first week working there. All he knew was that it hadn't been used for years. On the last night of camp, we were in our bunks. Everyone was getting ready to go to sleep. Mike came up to me and whispered something in my ear. He wanted to sneak over to that abandoned bunk just for the fun of it and see what's inside. I wanted to seem cool to Mike since I, for whatever reason, looked up to him, so I agreed. When everyone was asleep, we went outside and kept close to the bunk. We waited until the lights in the counselors' bunks were out, which wasn't long since it was already late. Then we ran down the pavement leading through the counselors' bunks towards the abandoned bunk building. My heart was racing the whole time. I wasn't built to be doing mischievous things like this, not at that age at least. Mike led the way until we were by the door of the abandoned bunk. The front door was boarded up, which is one of the reasons why it caught our attention initially anyway. So we had to go through one of the windows, which, wouldn't you know it, there was one that was completely busted open already. We climbed into the abandoned bunk. Now these buildings were pretty big. They weren't little shacks like you might be picturing.
Oh,
each bunk had room for at least 10 campers. This one was no exception. Mike and I stood in the dark bunk. It was kind of cold in there. We had our arms out in front of us to make sure we didn't walk into anything. I walked into a bunk bed numerous times, and I heard Mike doing the same. I stopped to listen to what Mike was doing, and I heard bouncing on one of the beds. Shh, stop messing around.
Or fucking, because that's how I be catching them, I told you. Then that's when I'll jump in. That one window you see open is because that little badass dude and that little badass female broke in. So I usually come in behind her, get them right in the back. And if y'all gonna come in there, y'all gonna witness some shit y'all ain't supposed to see. Y'all better go play with Mike, not me. I don't play that shit. Not Big Jason, nigga.
Bouncing on one of the beds. Shh, stop messing around, I told him. I assumed he was hopping up and down on one of the old bunk beds, but Mike's voice came from the complete opposite side of the room.
Nigga is so coochie. That... Nigga died getting some cooter mama.
I assumed he was hopping up and down on one of the old bunk beds, but Mike's voice came from the complete opposite side of the room, as I remember he said, "That's not me, I thought that was you." We had nothing to use as a...
That was that, you heard something? Stop. No, I ain't hear shit. Come on, stop tripping, ain't nobody
gonna find us. I remember he said, "That's not me, I thought that was you." We had nothing to use as a light source, so we were in a pitch black room in a building that hadn't been used for years, and all we heard was the sound of someone bouncing up and down on a squeaky mattress. Needless to say, we freaked out and ran for the window we entered from. It was tiny though, so it took a while to get out.
Still fucking. I don't care what you say. If these kids leave just because they heard that sound and that's the end of the story, yeah, well, somebody in there effing, dog. I mean, it's a summer camp. It's a scary movie theme vibe type of video.
It was tiny though, so it took a while to get out. While I was waiting for Mike to get out, the bouncing sound stopped, and there was a loud thump sound. Whoever was bouncing on that bed must have jumped off. I jumped up to the window, and as I crawled through, I felt two hands grab onto my foot and try to pull me back in, but I was already out the window. We ran back to our bunk and locked the door. We contemplated running to the head counselor's bunk to tell them, but we figured we didn't want to get in trouble. Yes, looking back, that was a stupid decision, but we got through the night okay and went home the next day, living to tell the story another day.
Yeah, that was just the camp counselor. He's gonna catch y'all and drill you off of being out of bed and being over here where ain't nobody supposed to be at. That's why he told you ain't nothing happening here. Mind your business. I got a little thing about to take to this mug tonight, and then y'all brought your little badass in here. I know how I be though, doggy bone. Shoot, I'm still trying to hit Till and Reagan, however you say her name, but I'm gonna be in there like these on her. Hey, I'm out though, man. Y'all be careful if y'all come visit me. I'll be chilling at Camp Crystal Charlie if y'all want to come hang out. Go ahead, click that like button while y'all on his channel as well. Also, sub, turn that bell on. He'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna let him finish doing his little reaction shit he do. Ooh, that nigga corny though. Hey, but I'm out though.